The Genshin Impact 5.2 banners have just been released, and I am caught in a snowstorm, so I am going to do the banner review from my parents' house right here where we are staying. The banners, let me give you a little look. We have the Chasca banner, the Lyney banner, and the weapon banner. So we're going to be reviewing all three and talking about whether they're worth to wish on for you. You can pull them up on your own computer. And spoiler alert, I think these banners are maybe not get that good, but let's talk about it. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. So first of all, taking a look at the 5 stars, we've got Chasca and Lyney. Both are charge attack bow characters, so that's going to bode well probably for looking at the weapons. The new weapons have also been revealed as well, so I will cover how good those weapons are. I've seen some calcs and studied some calcs on them, so we're going to talk about how good those are a bit later on. But for Chasca and Lyney, it's pretty simple. I've decided not to make a Lyney video this time around. I made one for his last rerun, so you can definitely go and check that out. It's still relatively up to date. I think I covered most of the things that are going on there. New things for him is we now have Xilonen, who's obviously really good. The more I play Xilonen, the more I really think she's a very good upgrade for Kazuha a lot of the time. Obviously, sometimes you need the grouping, but when you don't need the grouping, the longer buff up time and the AoE really make Xilonen more preferable to me for most teams. And so that's a nice upgrade for Lyney if you happen to get yourself a Xilonen. Overall, the one thing I would make sure for Lyney is just make sure that you actually have you know his playstyle. You've played it a lot in the trial, and if you actually enjoy the charge attack, then you'll enjoy Lyney. But if you're, and I think for mobile players and controller players, it's harder to get really down with the charge attack playstyle. It's definitely hard for me. I've played it a lot, and I've gotten some amazing clears. I always say, he has some of the peak clears, and probably all of Genshin Impact. I've had clears that rival Arlecchino and sometimes even Surpasser, but I just don't like doing it. It takes a lot of resets for me to really do it. So for me, Lyney is not a character that I would get. He does have really good vertical investment. He's got a great C1, a great weapon, but overall, yeah, he's not a character that I would recommend. But if you like him and you like his playstyle, he's definitely plenty strong. So yeah, that's Lyney. He does really like Bennett. That's one downside, but because he is a charge attack character, he can attack from a range. So if you're in Bennett's circle, it's not as bad for him as it is for someone else. Very similarly, Chasca is also a charge attack bow character. So she can also sit in Bennett's circle. She does have a lot more interruption to resistance than Lyney, however. So that's really nice for her. We'll see exactly how much once she actually comes out and I get to test her. I'll be testing, all of the 30 teams or whatever that I'm going to be testing her with. We're also doing reaction testing right now because they're getting the reaction buff. So I'm really, really excited to see how the teams improve with the reaction buff in a couple days. And I'll be testing all of that. So there'll be videos coming for that. So Chasca, I would say that right now it seems like from the math we've seen, she's a bit restrictive in the teams that are really good, namely Farina, Bennett, Auroron are going to be most likely the best. And Auroron is looking pretty good even at C0. So if you want to just snag a copy of him, that's pretty good. The Chasca banner overall, I'll remind you what it looks like in case. So if we're looking at the 4 stars with Barbara, Sucrose, and Auroron, these 4 stars leave a little bit to be desired. I like Auroron. Obviously, he's looking really strong. It's hard to say how strong he'll be. Some people say he's better than Fischl, worse than Fischl. I personally do expect him to be better than Fischl, but I don't know for sure. We really don't know until he actually releases and we actually have to test him, and I'll be doing a full, tested 60 teams with Auroron probably. It's gonna be a little bit later probably, but it'll definitely come out eventually. Chasca first and then Auroron. The other 2 characters, Barbara and Sucrose, I don't find myself using Sucrose that much, but I do have every character in the game. So I think a lot of people these days might end up, like, for a newer player, right? I'm going to recommend you get Xilonen before you get Kazuha. So Sucrose might be a little bit more commonly recommended as a pickup option nowadays, because before it's like, oh, just get Kazuha. Like, Sucrose is good, but you're going to get Kazuha anyways if he's rerunning anytime soon. And now Kazuha hasn't been on a banner for a while, so if you missed him Sucrose is a great replacement, a great supplement. And there are times where if you use her right, she can even outperform Kazuha on certain teams. And so that's pretty nice. And also with the taser buffs, with the electrocharge buffs that are coming, it could be that some of Sucrose's electrocharge teams actually get a buff, and she actually ends up being a better character than she was after the buff than before. But again, we won't know that for sure until we actually do that testing. So Sucrose looking like a pretty solid character, not particularly synergistic with Chasca or Lyney. I wouldn't really, you can use her with Lyney for sure, but I wouldn't really personally recommend it. Lyney often wants a shielder or a Kazuha Shalom for the damage bonus that they give, where Sucrose just does the resistance trade and gives EM, which Lyney does not care about. So overall, not a good Sucrose. Sucrose is a good character, but not really good for Chasca or Lyney teams. And then Barbara, not super used at all anymore. I think her best use is Nilou Bloom. She can do some Farina stuff. I made a guide for Barbara not that long ago. You can check that out. She can definitely do some Farina stuff. But again, with Shalonen and stuff, she's showing her cracks but I think she's a good early game character, but really not a character you want to see on a banner because her constellations don't do all that much, and she's definitely not synergistic at all with these characters. So pretty much a dead character for most players. Don't really recommend Barbara. Overall, in terms of the character value, pretty good value with Aurora and Sucrose, pretty solid. But you really would have wanted to see a Bennett on this banner. I really would have liked to see, because both Lyney and Chasca really, really, really want Bennett. You can get him free for the Star Glitter Shop. I think it should be coming up soon, a Bennett, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I overall, the banners are pretty good, but not really good for the characters themselves, which is a shame, especially for Lyney. Really awful banner for Lyney in terms of character synergies. Doesn't use a Rowan, Sucrose, or Barbara. So at least for Chasca, you're going to get a Rowan copies. That does make it so, even though Chasca has a really good bow, I would recommend for most people, probably you're going to if you're going to do extra wishes, probably you get more value out of the character banner for more Rowan copies. So yeah. Looking at the weapon banner, so I'll turn it over again so you can have a refresher. That's the weapon banner. Fav Lance, really, really excellent. The new Catalyst, the Wave Riding Whirl, and the new bow. The new bow is basically like a solid cope option for Chasca if you don't get her signature. And the First Great Magic is a solid option for Chasca if you also miss her signature. The Wave Riding Whirl, this little conical bow. Actually, let me pull up. Normally I pull this up beforehand, or I pause my recording, but I can't really. Oh, I can pause it. Let me pause it so I can pull it up. Okay, so there's Chasca's bow. Crit damage. After triggering a swirl reaction, attack increased by 24%. And when one or two of the characters are in a different party, or a different elemental type, the damage dealt by the equipping character charge attack is increased by 20 or 48%, and elemental burst damage is increased by 10 and 24%. So very, 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 very strong passive for Chasca. It's going to be around a 30% increase for her, which is massive over the Song of Stillness, the Fontaine Craftable. Really, really, really excellent bow, and it looks absolutely amazing. I'm definitely 100% getting it, and I'll test it. Aqua is pretty good on her. It's definitely a step down from this, but still Aqua is a step up. And First Great Magic is a step up over the free-to-play. So if you happen to get that, unfortunately, Lyney, I don't think you can create a swirl reaction with Lyney. So the passive, unfortunately, is pretty much useless. My question is, it says attack increases by 24%. In addition, when 1/2 or more characters in a party of a different elemental type, is that in addition? Does that refer to when you trigger the swirl reaction, you get that additional passive, or is that you just what am I trying to say? Is that just separate? Because I feel if it's separate, this is great for him. But if it's not, which I feel like it's not, then it's not that good for him. It's in fact very bait for him. So I hope that it's like that, but I feel like it's probably not. So let me know in the comments, and I'll update the pinned comment once I learn. But I don't know if anyone knows. I'm not sure. The flower wreathed feathers, the other bow. Aim shots, charge attack damage increase, its attack percent bow. It's going to be solid for Lyney and Chasca. It'll probably be ahead, it'll probably be around the craftable at R1 and probably pulls ahead when you get higher refinements, but probably doesn't touch the signatures. That's always how these things work. But we'll see the math when more people math it out. The wave riding whirl, I saw a great video by Jamie today where he calced this in detail for Kokomi. So if you're interested in that, you can go check out Jamie's channel. I do have it linked in the description. But for this, it just gives too much ER. It's just too much ER. It gives a lot of HP, like a ton. So if you happen to get this at high refinement and you don't have, you know, the 5-star weapon for Kokomi or for Novelette or maybe Mulani, then sure, it gives a lot of HP, but the problem is it'd be better than the craftable. But the problem is it's too much ER. So it's not going to be really touching, you know, the Widsith for, you know, Mulani or, you know, even Prototype Amber for Kokomi and Novelette is going to be pretty similar. It should be a bit better, especially if you get it at R5. But it's really not something to be excited about and something to like actually actively wish for. But if you end up with a lot of copies, you have an HP scaling catalyst character, it could end up being better if you don't have 5-star weapons to go on. One last weapon to go over though, that's not on the banner. This is going to be a free weapon, and this is I thought about making a video just for these weapons because this weapon is looking hype, especially for me. It looks absolutely incredible. And this weapon looks amazing for Clorant because especially her aggravate team, my favorite Clorant aggravate team is with Kirara. So you're going to have a shield anyways. My most played overloaded team is with Toma. So you're going to be playing a shield anyways. So getting, you know, how much, like at R5, you're getting 40% normal and charge attack damage bonus and then 16% crit rate. That's hot. That's pretty good for a free sword and attack percent sword. So great for Clorant, great for Ayato. And I pretty much can't think of anyone else that it's good for. So that's why I didn't end up making a video, because like Clorant, seems like I'm the only person in the world who thinks Clorant is really good. And literally no one has Ayato or uses Ayato or whatever. I know you Ayato mates are out there. I love Ayato. He's super fun. But yeah, so great bow or great sword if you have those characters. And who knows, maybe we'll get more DPS sword characters in the future that actually use their normal and charge attacks. I love normal and charge attack attacking sword characters. That's my favorite weapon type and my favorite playstyle. So I hope we get more of that. I think that would be really cool, just like a ching, ching, ching kind of sword guy. Hopefully we get that, and then this sword can be good for them too. But it looks amazing, and everyone's going to get it for free. So all of that. So now that we look at the weapon banner overall, we add in the flute, which is terrible, and the bell, which is terrible, terrible, terrible. We are end up with a pretty all right banner, because Fav Lance is actually broken. It's actually disgustingly broken. So if you're a Chasca wanter and this is a good weapon banner to go for. If you are a Lyney wanter, this seems like bait, unless the passive is fixed, and then you should just, but it's really a rough time for Lyney wanters out there because it's not a good banner for him. It doesn't seem like a good weapon banner for him unless I'm wrong about the passive thing, because the thing is, it just seems too strong, right? It seems too strong, because that's like the good effects. Like, sure, you just lose on the 24% attack. That's not that big of a deal. But if you have different, that's the other thing, is different elemental types. So you want different elemental types for Lyney, but Lyney's passive wants the same elemental type. So it's kind of anti-synergistic with this kit. You really only want one different elemental type. So you're only going to get a 20% and 10% charge attack damage burst instead of 48%. So even if it does work for Lyney, which now that I'm looking at that, maybe that is a separate passive. If I had to guess now that I'm looking at that, I would guess that it is a separate passive. It's going to be pretty good on him. It's already going to be a pretty good stat stick, but overall, yeah. So that is the banners. Let me know if you're going to wish. We also did our Shalona giveaway. I announced it on stream, but if you want to start, thinking about, that's the final thing, is both the giveaway and the next banner, we're talking Archon. We're talking Moika. So this is a really good time to save. If these characters are not doing it for you, if they're not hitting it for you, the banners aren't super tempting, the characters don't seem super crazy OP, they really are saying, hey, here's some pretty good characters, but if you want to save for the Archon, you can easily justify skipping and waiting for the Archon. So let me know your thoughts, and yeah, we'll be back in town tomorrow for the Archon, hopefully Archon drip marketing. That's probably going to be tomorrow. And then Chasca released the next day, and we're going to be testing the crap out of all these characters. So let me know your thoughts. Take care. Bye for now.